And then I want to share my screen. You guys are being recorded, so I can make sure that I get this right. The next info, I'll get it right this time. So everyone can see my screen. This presentation is, Brian G. Thompson, the business of content creation. Um, I'd say I really want to draw your attention to the slate. Harnessing your small business mindset for artistic excellence. So when we talk about harnessing your small business mindset, um, there is a lot of content out there about what to do, when to do it, how to do it. Um, but there isn't a lot of content about longevity. And my take on that is that longevity requires stamina, and I mean business stamina. And that business stamina is going to require good habits, right? And so those habits are going to require focus, and focus is really what I'd like to focus you guys on during this presentation. So this is a little bit about me. As I mentioned, I'm a filmmaker. Been making a lot of films in different genres. So I make action, a little bit of sci-fi, comedy, drama, and also I even made I guess you would call it a kids fantasy movie, Easter Someday. And my movies can be seen on Peacock, um, Redbox, Pluto, and a number of other platforms, as you can see there. That's a not an all-inclusive list. There's a lot more platforms. This is a design that it just fit for the slide. But yeah, you can find my stuff on a lot of platforms. I am experiencing right now something that I, number one, never really knew what it was going to look like. I can't say I'm beyond my wildest dreams, because if I believe if your dreams don't scare you, you're not dreaming big enough. So I can't say that, but what I can say is that where I am right now seemed almost unattainable 10 years ago, right? It just seemed like I couldn't quite understand what the path was going to lead me to. And now, I have a very good reputation and relationship with companies that are in a position to elevate my content, Maverick Entertainment being the most prominent of all of them. In the sense that they actually come to me and say, "Hey, we want you to do a movie about X," and that has been the thing that has led to me having so many different genre of content. And then getting a lot of love from the news media, as you can see. Even got the key to the city of Miami. And I'm invited to speak in places like New Jersey Web Fest, which I really wanted to be there in person, you guys. But this Hurricane Ophelia had other plans. So here we are. We already covered that I run Miami Web Fest, and this is our 10th year. So this was the title that I wanted initially, and Neem said it was too long. So you guys tell me what you think. But um, this is what I really want to talk to you guys about, and what brought this to life. So Brian G. Thompson 7 rules to keep great content creators from giving up on their dreams and abandoning their true purpose, rather than facing the challenging yet rewarding world of entrepreneurship with a relentless focus determined to change the world. Um, so a little background here. I've been running Miami Web Fest, as I said, for 10 years, and I've seen a lot of success stories. I've seen folks get their content elevated to BBC and Netflix, and I've seen the content repurposed, and even not just in Miami Web Fest, but just outside of Miami Web Fest, and programs like Insecure and Broad City, programs that started off as web series and then they went to the next level. Not sure why my computer is doing that, but in any case, but I've also seen some unfortunate situations where creators, they start and they just don't finish, and they give up on their dreams essentially. And I say some because I'm trying not to be too dramatic about this, but in reality, it's happened quite a bit. It's happened too often, and so I believe that this is happening because these creators, filmmakers, web series creators, they are not following these 7 rules. So I challenge each and every one of you to follow these rules and then come to me and say, I followed all those rules, I did everything you said, and I still didn't get to where I wanted to. I challenge each and every one of you to do that, because I am 100% convinced that if you follow these 7 rules, you will achieve your objectives. So the biggest thing, the overarching theme here is that being a filmmaker is, you are a small business, right? If you are an actor, you're a small business. And so you have to approach this content creation with the small business mindset, right? So there are certain things that you do as a small business person. When you say, okay, I'm going to start a lawn cutting business, well, there's certain things that you're going to have to get. And so when I see creators that have not done that, what I call basic blocking and tackling, I used to play football, that they haven't done the basics, then I know that I expect you not to quit until you've at least done the basics. So rule number 1, you got to know your real why. Now, I told you guys that my why is, well, actually, let me explain it to you this way. I started Miami Web Fest because I saw so many people who I believe had a lot of talent, and they weren't getting the networking opportunities that I believe that they deserved, right? I started filmmaking with the thought process that I deserved better opportunities. And so it was really, what prompted it was a me, a selfish sort of, I'm focused on myself. But what happens with filmmaking, as you can all attest to, is that you can't make a film just by yourself, right? So you need a collaboration of ideas, and you need people who are specialized in these different given areas. You need someone who really understands lighting. You need all these different things that have to come together. And ultimately, if you're an independent filmmaker, you're not able, you look at these people and you go, okay, well, if you understand the business, you know that their day rate is X. And so if you can't afford to pay them their day rate of X, then they have skin in the game when they do this project, and they believe in what you're doing. And so my why went from because I deserve this opportunity to because they deserve this opportunity, because it's evolved into something where so many people have helped me in so many different ways. I have to give back to them. And it's also, part of my why is I've seen these people over the years in Miami Web Fest give up. And when they give up, it makes me sad. So the purpose of this presentation is because I have issues, as I always say. I have issues, and you guys are cheaper than counseling. So I thank you for being here. Um, but then, when you talk about your why, so that all makes sense, right? But then there's usually a deeper reason for why you're doing what you're doing. And that deeper reason typically goes into your childhood. I think that when we are born, and when we're kids, we discover what our natural interests are, what we like, and so on. And then something happens along the way where a life sort of conventional thinking, and the conventional thinking of those around us and those who are raising us and so on sort of pulls us away, from our true purpose. And I believe that your true purpose is within you, and you just have to stay true to it. And if you've gotten really far away from it, you got to find it again. And I think artists are closer to that than any other segment of society. So when you get to that, then you got to understand what your true why is and what is the importance of what you're doing. In this case, the importance of you creating content. So my true why, going a little bit deeper, is the lady on the far left. So that is my mother. She's a very successful attorney, and she was also a television personality on a show called Ask the Lawyers. And I had the benefit of having someone who's very successful speaking positivity, into me, and that was very good. And I recognize that is a luxury that many people don't have, right? And especially as we grow, and as we have these crazy ideas. When you're a kid and you say, "I want to be a superstar," everybody just kind of pats you on the head like, "Yeah, that's nice." But if you're 18 and you say, "I want to be a superstar," they go, "Get a job." Right. And so, that's a good illustration as to how this process works. And on the other hand, I learned some really hard lessons at the age of 7. My mother went to work and didn't come home again. She suffered from a cerebral hemorrhage. And so I learned some very powerful lessons that day, right? So the first lesson I learned, of course, is that we have limited time on this earth, right? And so it what that is translated to for me is, if you have a passion, if you have a gift, if there's something about you that is unique, you have a responsibility to share that with the world during the time that you have on this earth. The other thing that I learned is that the things that you do that make the most impact, um, such as art, make you, in many ways, um, eternal, right? So, art never dies. It's there. Just like, you write a book, it's there. And, the art that you create is there. And so I think that, a big part of the reason I do the things that I do is seeking immortality through art. So you got to know your why. Then you have to know your why me. So why me? When I talk about your why me, it is specifically the value proposition of your work. So in this case, Drew gave me the value proposition, of his work as he was going through his pitch, and I thought that, I did a very good job with that. Thing is, you have to do a very honest self-assessment before you can really understand what your why me is. When I say an honest self assessment, as artists, particularly as independent artists, people in our circle, even if you have a wide circle, have a tendency to always say nice things. On social media, it's very rare that you post your newest episode and someone says, I really like that, but the sound was a little off at 1 minute and 30 seconds. And it really just threw off the whole. They're not going to post that on social media because everyone's going to say, oh, you're a hater. And they're not going to tell you because they're worried about the consequence that it will have to their relationship with you, right? And so, in many cases, we're not getting an honest assessment from the people that are closest to us. And people that you don't know really don't have a reason to give you an honest assessment. So you have to do that honest self assessment. You got to look at your stuff. You have to look at what look at in this case. What I do is I look at the content that I'm creating, and then I look at content that is being created with huge budgets, and I say, where can I improve? And it doesn't matter that I don't have the budget at this moment. What matters is I understand where I need to go. Because ultimately, in the age of this new technology and digital technology, we can get to the point where we're creating content that looks like it, that looks like millions of dollars were invested. We can get there without investing millions of dollars. But what it's going to take is, number one, that honest self assessment. The second thing is knowing your bargaining power. So sooner or later, if you stay in this game long enough, and that's where the stamina comes in. You stay in this game long enough, you're going to take your hits. You keep creating content, and eventually you will find yourself face to face with someone who can elevate you to the next level. In this case, maybe it's you're at the NatP convention in Miami, and all of the major networks and all of the sales agents and representatives are there at this event. And you've gone to this event, you've paid your money, which is kind of expensive, and you said, you know what, I'm going to meet with everyone I need to meet with in order to get to that next level. So, and you get in one of these meetings and you sit down, or, someone like me brings you to the table, right? And so you're at the table with this person that you were brought to this person through a third party, and they're open to having this conversation with you. So they're having a conversation, and you have an exorbitant amount of money in your head as to what they should be giving you in order to distribute or produce or in whatever way elevate your content. Um, you have to know, or at least have an idea of what your number is, right? Depending on what it is that you're trying to accomplish. But you also have to understand opportunity. So in this case, B and C go hand in hand, because in some cases, that number that you have in your head is a number that's really about you walking away from that project and moving on to another project. But maybe what they want you to do is to further develop that project, and they want to keep you involved in the developmental process. And so they're offering you a lower amount of upfront money because the industry is very risk averse right now. We all know that. And they want to see what it can do. So they're really giving you an opportunity. And if that opportunity pays off and your content is as well received as you believe it will be, then you're going to make way more money than the number that you had in your head. So it's a question of being able to understand when an opportunity is being presented by considering everything and not going into these negotiations closed minded. And this is not hypothetical. This has actually happened on a number of occasions, in the sense that I personally made a connection, and the this scenario that I just described took place. And of course, they walked away from the deal. So keep these things in mind, and let it guide you when you are creating your and understanding your why me. And sometimes if you look at your why me and it doesn't seem like it's strong enough, then that's your opportunity before you get to any bargaining table, before you get into this situation where you need to really negotiate. You need to truly take the time to understand that. And that's part of the honest self assessment. And then understand your bargaining power, and then be able to identify when an opportunity that makes sense for you in the long run is being offered. So you don't walk away from something that could actually get you to the next level, just not in the way that you anticipated. So, number three is know your pitch. So, um, Drew, one thing that I noticed about Drew is he didn't have to take a lot of pauses. He didn't have to think deeply about what he was going to say. He wasn't looking for the words. He just simply said it to me. And the way that Drew said it to me, maybe he's just a great speaker, but the way that Drew gave me his pitch, I understood what the log line is. I understood the value proposition. Um, the one thing that Drew did not do, probably because I didn't give him an opportunity, is what I call ABC. So ABC, always be closing. That's it's a sales term, and basically, when I say always be closing, let me be clear. What I'm not talking about is every time you explain what your project is about, you say, "So can I get $10,000?" That is not what I mean. What I mean is you have to take every conversation with a brand new person. You have to go out of your way to take it to another level, because we've established, or maybe we haven't established, what they can do for you. But typically, if you're networking in the right rooms, you understand what they can do for you. And if you understand that, if you have that kind of situational awareness of what people can do for you, then you need to also create that situational awareness of what you can do for them. Now, part of that is the value proposition, but part of that is really just, are you someone, and this is a really big one, are you someone that people like to deal with, that people like to do business with, and people do business with people that they like? So, can I like you outside of business? And if I can like you outside of business, I'm more likely to do business with you. So these are things to keep in mind. I'm sure that look, one thing I know about Neem is he's going to make sure that you guys are ready to pitch some stuff. So I know that you've covered this extensively, but just understand it's very important. Then you got to learn the game. When I talk about learning the game, what I mean is this: you need to be in a continuous process of learning about all of these different factors. Now, anyone in this room, and I hope this is everyone, who has social media, you're already doing the first one. You just may not be doing it as well as you need to be, or as aggressively as you need to be. And I do understand that all of these things, even if you knew all of these things, there is a price tag attached to doing these things correctly. So just as an independent filmmaker, as an independent content creator, you have to figure out, and this goes for podcasts as well as web series, everything. You have to figure out how you can get things done, in many cases on a shoestring budget. So you need to do the same thing with many of these items. For example, I always use the example of, first of all, Google University it should be your best friend, right? Google University, and then there's probably 100 books on each one of these topics. Um, so that's important. But also, when you're building your team, there are tax law attorneys who are very, very proficient in tax law, but they always wanted to be actors, or they always wanted to be writers. Lawyers make some of the best writers because writing is what they do all the time, and crafting narratives. And so sometimes bringing people there, this industry of content creation, it is very intoxicating. And you would be surprised when you open up your lens to people who are not necessarily in the business, but have a genuine interest in it, even if it's from an amateur perspective. They just want to be able to say that they touch something. Some people just want to have their name on IMDb on something, and because of those things, they may work with you on the price. So you want to keep these things in mind. Um, what I don't want is for you to look at this list and say, nope, that's unattainable. There's no way I can do any of that stuff. I'm not even going to look into it. What I would like is for you to really make a conscious effort to touch on all of these things in some way and acknowledge that to whatever extent you can have an impact in your business in each of these ways, it's going to move you forward in some way, right? We all know this is, I mean, part of what we're protesting about right now, but artificial intelligence for business, used the right way, can give you an advantage, right? We don't want people using it for writing, but there's all of these things matter, and if you're not continuously learning these things, I think that you are putting yourself at a disadvantage in the market, because you got to remember something. The content creation business is just like any other business. There's competition. Now, no one is like you. No one's content is exactly like yours. And that's a beautiful thing, because that's the beautiful thing about art. However, these companies are looking at your content like a product. And so you can have Coke or you can have Mr. Pibbs. And there's a reason why these companies are going with Coke instead of Mr. Pibbs. So you will ultimately find yourself in a situation where, okay, well, if I'm Mr. Pibbs, I'm going to have to try harder, and I'm going to have to go out of my way to find my market. When I talk about finding your market, going back to marketing, when I first got into the business, I didn't know what my market was. I really didn't. My background is very multicultural. I've lived overseas, in South America. I'm fluent in Spanish. I grew up in Detroit during the crack epidemic, and I see the world through many different lenses. So, when I first started creating content, it was just always really, as a matter of fact, my first feature film was about Cuban immigrants. So for me, it was really a process to find my market, and it just so happened that Maverick, they understood their market, and so they said to me, okay, well, if you can make content that is specific to our market, then we definitely have a use for you, because you're creating good quality. Which kind of brings me to the next thing, which is network for mentorship. I spoke to you about Maverick. I was networking actually at the NatP convention, and that's where I met the owner, CEO of Maverick, Doug Schwab. And we had some conversations. Ended up going to the office. We did our first deal, and we've been really rolling ever since. Prior to that, I had met another distributor also at that convention. It's just that convention has been good to me. I also recommend the American Film Market and the MIPCOM and others. Just understand that film markets are also a good place to network for web series, and the industry has changed a lot in the last few years I since I attended, but I suspect that they're also probably a great place for podcasts as well, particularly fictional podcasts. So, in any case, you got to network, and when you're networking, you want to network up. So when I say network for mentorship, you want to network with people who are in a position to help you, but at the same time, you want to remain conscious of what can you do, how can you offer, what do you have to offer to the people that you are networking with for mentorship. And I'll give you a good example of that in a few here. So taking you back a little bit in my life when I was 20 years old, 19 or 20, I had dropped out of college, and I was convinced that I was going to be a professional singer. And so, and I heard you guys laughing, by the way, but it's true. That's what I thought. I was okay. I'm going to be Michael Jackson, And so, I'm kind of floating at this point. I'm doing some things. I'm working with some singing groups in Detroit. At that time, it just felt like everyone was talented. So it just, felt like I was getting lost in the sauce. And came across this gentleman, Greg Harden, who had at that time an organization that was dedicated to getting people off drugs. It was a nonprofit that he had started in addition to his main job, which was working for the University of Michigan as their athletic counselor. Now, what an athletic counselor does is get you ready to succeed. I don't know if any of you have watched Billions, but there's a lady on Billions who does this for these billionaires. So Greg Harden did and continues to do this for these successful athletes. So your Desmond Howard, your Michael Phelps, and Tom Brady, all of these people. It just so happened, again, very blessed, very lucky to have met him. But that's who I am doing. He contracted me to write a song, right? That would be sort of the theme song for his organization, his anti-drug organization during the height of the crack epidemic. And so I did that, and then we became friends. And through this friendship, sorry, one second here. So through this friendship, he helped me to get my first song released. So that was a really big deal for me, and it was life-changing. From there, you got to understand how to collaborate. Collaboration, an example of that is the last time I gave this presentation, there was someone sitting in the audience named Satya Vijayadran. Satya Vijayadran was, he has the Doggy Style. Next thing I know, he flies to Miami, he talks to me, and he says, "Hey, I want to work with you." So he, on his own dime, flies to the next feature film that I'm doing called Dirt. And there he is as second camera for Dirt. And he did such a good job that he just directed, and he became the first person, not Brian G. Thompson, to direct a Brian G. Thompson film. That's awesome. Yeah, clap it up for Satya. Yes. So, and finally, you got to be willing to reinvent yourself. It's very important, and I have had to reinvent myself over and over again. So, and in closing, I'll Hey Neem, do I have this is a 2 minute thing. We need to wrap up or do I have time to show this? This is my last piece. I suspect they'll want to see it.
He said go for it.
Go for it!
All right. So this is an example of my most recent work. It's international co-production. And that's it.
Oh, we didn't see it.
I know I was joking. It was just, it's taking a long time to load.
Right. You playing it? Are you playing it right now, Brian? It's not playing for us here. I don't know if you can hear it.
All I see is you outstretched.
Yeah, really.
Everything's frozen, man.
Love do we just say it's awesome?
Okay.
You think this
Brian, are you sharing it with us?
Oh. We don't see anything, Bob.
brains out and paint that wall with.
We hear it.
Hey, Brian, if you can hear us, we hear it, but we don't see it.
Oh no. Okay. Well, let me see. Oh, you know why? Because I was still sharing. Okay, let me stop the share. Let's do this one more time. Sorry about that. Well, hopefully you like the music. Let me see here. See if I can make this happen this time. You guys see video now? No.
You see it still, but.
Oh my God. Okay. There we go. How about now?
Yes.
Ah, you would think I wasn't a filmmaker.
But now we can't hear it.
No, can't hear it. You can see it, can't hear it. Could you act it out for us?
So you can't hear it?
Can't hear it.
Buffering.
No, you can't hear it?
No.
Ah,
You have to share your audio, check that little thing on the bottom.
all right. Well, I'll have to show you guys. I'll have to show you guys another time because I know you guys need to move on.
You have to share the audio.
You have to share your screen and you have to share your audio.
All right. Okay. Let me try this one more time.
Go into share your screen.
Go into share screen,
And then on the far left,
and then on the far left,
there'll be a little button that says optimize for audio.
there'll be a little button that says optimize for video.
Audio.
Jesus.
How can we help you?
Yeah, take over. Jesus.
It's not you or me. Hey, Amir, can we get these mics working?
All right. I'm gonna try this one more time, and we're gonna.
Optimize for audio.
I told him.
I love that one.
Yeah.
Totally does. We
We're
don't
gonna
mind
make
looking
this
at you.
happen.
This one too?
There. And then you said it's on the left-hand side.
Don't ask. Yeah, when you were sharing your screen.
On the bottom of the presentation where it says share screen, there should be when you hold it down, there should be an option. So that might be the best, that's might be the most valuable lesson of the entire 4 days. I just call it the Zoom presentation.
You're sharing your screen.
Click share screen
Yep.
On Zoom.
on the Zoom itself. It's a share screen on the
Share
bottom.
computer sound.
Okay,
There
wait a
you
minute.
go.
Yes,
Yes.
yes, right,
Yeah,
share
you got it.
computer sound, there we go.
I think she was gonna get up and do this. I think I was gonna do something.
How about
'Cause I
now?
was thinking the same thing. I was gonna go point at it.
We good now? We got audio?
But you weren't.
No. I only teach this.
We good now?
Yeah.
So what happened to this rough dog?
Won't fold, I cannot quit. On a one-way train to the top quick. You wanna bang like a mosh pit.
Oh, I get it. You think this is a fucking joke. I got a joke for you. How about I blow your fucking brains out and paint that wall with them?
Who the fuck are you? Why are you following me, huh? Go. Leave me alone.
He's disrupting the defense minister's revenue stream by attacking the illegal businesses where he knows the police aren't going to intervene. What he's doing is an act of vengeance.
Put that fucking gun down. Do it!
Not a day yet. So if you're ready, buckle up. This will be intense.
It was worth the wait. Thank you very much. Let's hear it for Brian Thompson. Remember, if you want to be part of Brian's Festival in Miami and you have not submitted yet, now's the time to do so. This weekend, submit with code NJ50. And yes?
Do you have to be part of this festival?
No. Of course not. You're here.
Well, no, I mean, like, did you have to already?
You cannot submit to the Miami Web Fest unless you submit to the New Jersey. That's the rule from now on, Brian. That's my.
Say you're part of the cooperative.
No. .com/Miami Web Fest and submit there. You should submit to both. You get to look at his face and my face for a few days, so that's the downside. But beyond that, so thanks, Brian.
Thank you. Much appreciated. And thanks for the technical help.
Checking up with you know anything about microphones?
Yes, I do.
This one's fine, this one works?
Check the battery.
I turned it on. All right, so this morning, we like to be people first instead of being slavish to times. So this morning, Saturday morning, rainy, Friday night mixer, people dragged in here, so we got Dan started a little late, which set us back a little bit. So we have someone stationed over there to let people know that are coming for the 12:30 screening. They were probably gonna start around 1:15 because I want you guys to get something to eat, but so let's do about 30 minutes. You guys have all worked on set, so you're very familiar with the saying, we'll make up the time. So we will, but for now, I wanted everyone to enjoy these. I wanted as many people as possible to enjoy these presentations. And,
Is he coming?
All right. So hopefully, listen, if everything works out with the hurricane, come tomorrow for the gala.
And you can say goodbye to this wonderful venue. Thank you so much for having us, Montclair Film. Unless you're back next year, you will be here again. So now we go to theater. Let's go.
Bye.
Big shout out to Amir of Montclair Film. Thank you.
I don't know if you can see me. This is Sam Fraser from last
All right,
year.
Brian.
Oh,
Yes,
my
Sam,
job.
how are you?
I'm doing very well. Good to see you. I'd like to point out this is the second year you've been virtual
Except for
here.
the most
I
important
know, it's terrible. Like, I really want to be there too.
Brian, what's your email address?
So BRYAN at MiamiWebFest.com.
Brian at MiamiWebFest.com. Easy enough.
I think you're creating these hurricanes, honestly. It's the second year in a row.
You never know, it's possible.
First year it rains here.
Once is twice. No such coincidences. Man. Can't exist.
Nice to meet
Anyway,
you, sir.
great
All
to
right,
see
Brian, we'll
man.
see you, bye.
I'll talk to you
Okay,
later.
take care.